My name is Seewing Yee, and my special guest once again is Mr. Richard Advani, who is a top-notch real estate investment loan agent who does loans for investors in all 50 states. Richard Advani, thank you so much for your time. The title for our module is Real Estate Investors Action or No Action Plan. So here's the facts in accordance with today's housing situation as we speak. In the second week, actually, September 2023. So the facts are today is a historical low inventory. However, there are still pent up demand, even at rates of 7% or higher. All across the country, we are seeing many bidding wars and multiple offers, depending on what location, but around 5 to 7 offers per house. Now, here's the challenge that most investors, I don't know, based on my circle of investors that I work with, and of course, it's just a small sample size, but you, Richard Advani, you work with many investors to do their loans for many years, and particularly right now. What I've seen is most investors are still waiting on the sideline. They are waiting for 3 reasons. They're waiting for foreclosures to come down the pipe so they could buy for pennies on the dollar. Second, most investors, especially newbies and many so-called experienced investors who bought 1 or 2 rental properties thinking they're very savvy, thinking they know it all, but they don't. They are those group of investors, they're waiting for mortgage rates to come down to 3% or lower. And finally, most of those investors waiting on the sidelines, they're waiting for a real estate crash at 50% or even higher. So, giving these talking points, what are your thoughts, Richard Advani?
Those people still on the sidelines haven't learned their lesson. As doom and gloom as it could come was COVID, and everyone pushed and expected and had that same logic and rationale pushing into COVID that house prices are drop and there's going to be the next housing recession and we're at the end of the cycle. And as we all know, quite the opposite has happened. In fact, it's funny. I was just listening to the news earlier and they were talking about how home values are up 0.3% higher than expected, right? Because they're talking about inflation numbers and expectations. And the newscaster says, yeah, home prices are up 0.3 higher percent than expectations. So it seems like we may have hit the bottom here. And I'm like, bottom here? House prices you just said are up from last year, are up from 3 years ago, or up from 10 years ago. So what bottom was the guy talking about? I don't know. Maybe it's just a slip. He didn't mean that, but it was funny. I think now, right, the media is catching up to what you and I have been saying for 1.5 years. And with the media, the masses are also catching up and realizing that, okay, real estate is going to remain robust. Are we going to see 30% appreciation like we saw post-COVID? Probably not, but are things going down? Absolutely not, right? They are still projected to go up moving into next year. But what they're not accounting for is what's going to happen when rates move down. All these people sitting on the fence. If you've been sitting on the fence, firstly, you made a mistake with COVID, right? You think you need to understand that. And now if that doesn't push you off the fence, then stay seating with all the other 100 million people or 10 million or how many ever people are trying to buy homes in this country. Because as soon as rates drop, everyone's going to rush to go buy homes. We're going to be back at situations where there's 10, 15, 20, 30 offers on every home and values are going to push. It's going to get crazy again. So the right thing to do is take advantage now before the craziness happens. And then, of course, refi, right? When everyone else is rushing out to buy homes and instead of throwing elbows at people trying to buy a house, at that point, all you need to do is give us a call and refi because you already have the property. But yeah, I think people that have been waiting are going to continue waiting forever if they don't get off the fence.
So, Richard, what I hear you saying, based on the data and trends that you and I have been tracking for not just recently, but for many years, and of course, we guide hundreds and thousands of real estate investors to achieve real estate wealth. So, what I hear you saying, you're implying most likely there are no real estate crash, most likely there are pretty much no foreclosures out there because most people have massive amount of equity. And also there's a chances of the Federal Reserve reducing the mortgage rate down to a historic 3% level is not going to happen, especially in our lifetime, probably would never, even the next generation of lifetime. So all the three talking points that we just discussed ain't going to happen anytime soon. Is that what you're saying?
That's my opinion, at least. Yeah.
Very good. That's all we needed to know. So we pretty much concluded that conversation. Investors, you can have three choices: do nothing and wait for the perfect time, which is never a perfect time. Do something on your own. If you can find your own team, if you can find your own market to do it yourself, or the third option is connect yourself with a great team, great network that can help you achieve your real estate investment goals. Thank you so much, Richard Advani.